In Thessalon, Ontario, the end of summer in August 2023 painted the small town in golden light. Lake Huron shimmered under the sun, and the scent of pine drifted from the surrounding forest into quiet streets. Children played freely, their laughter echoing between modest homes. One boy, just 9 years old, pedaled along the neighborhood lanes, a small figure in shorts and a T-shirt, his bike a vessel of independence. That day, the ordinary rhythm of childhood would be disrupted in a way the town would never forget. A yellow Camaro, gleaming in the late afternoon sun, rolled slowly through the streets. Its driver, Manoj Govindbalunikam, 37, a realtor from Brampton, scanned the area with calculated precision. His life, outwardly orderly, masked tensions and personal pressures few could see. That day, the outwardly mundane world of Thessalon would collide with a calculated deception. The boy noticed a car idle nearby. Its bright color and sleek lines caught his eye, but what drew him closer was the man's friendly tone and the shiny object in his hand, a fidget spinner. Conversation began effortlessly. A toy for a child, a business card for the adult, ice cream promised, and trust quietly nurtured. In these few minutes, innocence was manipulated. The boy climbed into the car, unaware that his simple curiosity had led him into danger. As the Camaro accelerated away, the boy's bike was left behind on the pavement, a stark symbol of disrupted innocence. Panic began to seep into the quiet streets. Parents looked out their windows. Whispers spread. Hours stretched like shadows over the town as families searched local parks, calling friends, knocking on doors, praying for any sign of the missing child. The authorities were notified, and amber alerts flashed across northern Ontario. Volunteers combed the forests and lockshores, their headlights cutting through dusk, their voices calling out into empty spaces. Each passing hour thickened the tension. When the tip finally came, authorities moved swiftly. Govindbalunikam was found, and the boy was released unharmed physically, though forever marked by fear and confusion. The community of fewer than 1,500 residents was shaken to its core. Thessalon had always been tight-knit, a place where neighbors trusted each other and children played freely. That trust, once unbroken, now fell fragile. The arrest of Govindbalunikam offered relief, yet it also propelled a deeper investigation into his motives, revealing vulnerabilities in child protection and the subtle pressures surrounding an immigrant pursuing a Canadian dream. Manoj Govindbalunikam arrived in Canada from India years earlier, building a professional life in Brampton as a realtor. At 37, he presented himself as confident and capable, his flashy yellow Camaro and polished business card signaling success. Yet behind this exterior, pressure simmered, navigating immigration status, managing financial uncertainties, and confronting isolation in a new country. These circumstances, subtle and largely invisible, set the stage for his choices on that August day. The victim, a 9-year-old boy from Thessalon, lived in a loving home. His days consisted of biking, playing, and interacting with neighbors, a childhood shaped by safety and routine. Thessalon itself, with its indigenous heritage and seasonal tourism, encouraged close-knit relationships. In such a small community, vigilance against strangers was less instinctive than in urban centers, where warnings are ubiquitous. Local police were a critical part of this story. First responders acted with precision, issuing amber alerts and mobilizing volunteers. Immigration authorities later became stakeholders due to Govindbalunikam's legal status. The boy's family, meanwhile, struggled between panic and hope, navigating the delicate balance of public scrutiny and personal grief. The environment that morning, a sunny day, familiar streets, and the presence of a friendly stranger, created a scenario ripe for exploitation. The combination of a child's trust, a town's open atmosphere, and a calculated approach of the abductor produced a tragic convergence. Background pressures on both sides, youthful naivete and adult desperation, set the stage for a crisis that would resonate far beyond Thessalon's quiet streets. In retrospect, subtle warning signs existed. Govindbalunikam had no prior criminal record, yet his approach revealed careful manipulation, revealing a deeper, unacknowledged crisis beneath his professional life. The child, innocent and trusting, became the center of an intricate sequence of decisions, each step carrying consequences that would ripple through the family, the town, and the legal system. The abduction unfolded over several hours, revealing a careful, deliberate orchestration. Govindbalunikam used everyday items, a fidget spinner, a promise of ice cream, a friendly demeanor, to lure the child into a sense of safety. The act itself was devoid of physical violence, yet its psychological impact was profound. Once in the car, the boy was driven to a remote location, isolated from familiar surroundings. Each mile traveled stretched attention, each moment punctuated by the child's growing unease. Back in Thessalon, the family's distress intensified. They alerted neighbors, called authorities, and searched local parks. Police swiftly issued Amber Alerts, coordinating with volunteers who scoured roads, forests, and lockshores. Authorities' investigative work was methodical. Tips from the community led officers to Govindbalunikam, who eventually released the boy. His guilt was evident, yet his motives remained complex. There was no evidence of sexual assault. The harm was emotional and psychological. The investigation exposed not only the mechanics of the abduction, but the vulnerabilities in a system relying on trust, community awareness, and rapid reporting. Court proceedings began months later. In May 2025, Govindbalunikam pleaded guilty to abduction of a minor under 14. His legal strategy was intertwined with his immigration status. He sought a reduced sentence, aiming to remain in Canada. By November 2025, the appeal for a lighter sentence, 6 months minus a day, was heard in Sault Ste. Marie, placing the tension between justice and immigration law in the spotlight. The case highlighted failures on multiple levels. Subtle grooming tactics were sufficient to exploit innocence. Community awareness, though prompt, could not prevent initial harm. Legal frameworks would now contend with the dual need for justice and consideration of immigration status, setting precedents for similar cases in Canada. The abduction left the community rattled. Thessalon, a town defined by its intimacy and trust, began to reconsider the boundaries of safety. Families hugged their children closer. Conversations shifted to caution, and parents became advocates for stronger child protection measures. The local police, praised for their swift response, also reviewed protocols to prevent similar incidents. Vigils were held, not only to mark the event, but to reinforce the importance of community vigilance. Families shared stories of recovery, emphasizing resilience. Schools integrated stranger danger education, while volunteers organized programs to support children and parents alike. Policy changes enhanced Amber Alert systems, ensuring that information spread more quickly in rural areas where responses had historically lagged. The boy's recovery was gradual. Psychological support and community support played critical roles. His family, once consumed by panic, now navigated a path toward healing. Each step forward served as a reminder of the fragility of trust, the importance of vigilance, and the power of collective action. Though the streets of Thessalon returned to their calm, the emotional echoes of that day persisted. The community had changed. Vigilance and awareness had become part of daily life. Residents reflected on how a brief encounter could alter the trajectory of a child's life, and how the bonds of community could mitigate trauma. The Thessalon abduction became more than a singular crime. It became a case study in safeguarding childhood, balancing justice and immigration law, and the community's ability to adapt and recover. Awareness campaigns and educational programs were implemented, teaching children how to recognize and avoid potentially dangerous situations. Public discussions encouraged parents to engage with local authorities and advocate for protective measures. Memorials and community projects honored resilience rather than fear. The boy's recovery was celebrated not as a return to innocence lost, but as a testament to the strength of families and communities working together. Lessons learned from Govindbalunikam's actions informed policy changes, community awareness, and vigilance in rural areas across Ontario. The story closed not with despair, but with a sense of reflective hope. Thessalon had been forever changed, but in its vulnerability, the town discovered a capacity for protection, care, and education that would endure. Safeguarding childhood, ensuring awareness, and cultivating community vigilance emerged as the lasting legacy of a day that began with sunlight and ended with the sobering reality of human complexity. In the quiet that returned to Thessalon streets, the yellow Camaro became a distant memory, and the boy's bike once again traversed familiar roads. The town moved forward, carrying both caution and compassion, a reminder that even in moments of fear, resilience and community endure.